definition of racism is really actually pretty simple. Treating people in the same situation differently because of race. It's wrong, it's unfair, it's un-American. And when it happens, or there are even accusations of it, as we've learned over the past few years, the national news media goes wild, unless it happens to white people. Which, if you believe certain folks, it's exactly what's going on in Hayward, California, about 30 miles east of San Francisco. A local woman says politicians are using her town and reworking its history in order to build a political platform to talk about the buzzword reparations. Some 60 years ago, Hayward annexed and then turned the neighborhood of Russell City into an industrial park through the process known as eminent domain. It happened to everyone who lived there: white, black, Latino, Asian, hippopotamus, everybody. But you would never get that from a recent apology issued by Hayward local leaders. You can see it on your screen. It apologized to black and indigenous and people of color and the Latinx community. But what about everybody else? Donna Whitmore is part of the everybody else. Sure, her group, Hayward Concerned Citizens, are considered suing the city over all of this. All right, tell us what your beef is.
Well, our beef is exactly what you said. This wasn't a racial event, it was a class event. And what was the tying class was everybody was poor. And unfortunately, the apology was made by the wrong entity. Hayward apologized, and they didn't own the land. They didn't do the relocation. And they've already given over almost $200,000 to this group, which we feel is not best use of taxpayer money.
All right. Russell City targeted eminent domain. 1964, Russell City was annexed into Hayward. 67, Russell City was bulldozed. 2023, study was done to find evidence to suggest the land was seized improperly. So there's this concept of the reparations for housing discrimination, for other racist issues involving San Francisco, and then there's California and trillions of dollars and on and on and on. I guess I want to understand from this situation, an apology, like, I mean, not that it ever should be based on race or whatever, but who really cares if it's just an apology that isn't really worth the paper it's written on?
Well, like I said, along with it goes money. And they're apologizing to only people of color. As you said, white people and Asians were also living and were forced to move. But what they don't talk about is that there was relocation, there was money paid, and they talk about harm. And we're saying that no one talks about the other side, that the land was given, they were given money for the land, and if they were renters, they were relocated. And that we think that Hayward shouldn't apologize and spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on something that the city didn't do. Alameda County actually conducted all that, and no one even brings them in.
So why is Hayward doing this? Why do you think they're doing this?
I think they did it because there's certain political groups in Hayward that have gained power and feel that, and maybe rightfully so in the state and other places, that people of color, have had issues. But this wasn't what Russell City was about. It was about poor people.
Yeah, no, look, there's the famous beach down near Los Angeles where the city actually had to end up turning the beach back over to descendants of the family, the African-American family that was taken of. California's Reparation Task Force charged with calculating monetary losses experienced by African-Americans in California, including any form of losses for unjust property by eminent domain, payment between $148,000 or $366,000 for each year between 33 and 77. Resident was part of the state. Total cost would be $800 billion. Next meeting, June 29th. Recommendations to be presented to the legislature by July 1st. Do we really think that this is even reasonable to think that any of this is going to get through the state legislature?
Well, I think the first mistake is putting Russell City in with reparations. As you know, reparations.
So I guess here's my question: Why is Russell City so interested in being involved in something that you're telling me effectively didn't happen?
Again, it's a political will.
Thanks for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to subscribe. Click the red button to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.